Hey man, we get the same sound problem again, man.
Hear me now?
Yeah, man, I don't know what's up with my headset. I don't know why we're getting that sound, eh?
I can hear you quite clear.
Yeah, I think it must be with my headset then. Yeah, man. So, like, how's things been?
Yeah, it's been a busy week. Your side?
Same to same. I'm just trying to, get through the motions and let's get down to the discussion at hand. So what are your thoughts on SA's win over the West Indies?
Very, very impressive. I think there's a lot of positives that we can take from
Hmm.
that. Um, However, I'm not, you know, what can I say? It's not something that I'm over the moon about because
Mm,
let's be honest, there were some cracks, and I feel this side still has some way to go. In order to obviously excel
mm,
against the best. But this is a good starting point.
mm, mm,
I think Barton Raid it lacked a lot of series wins, so I think this tour you could deem it as a success in a way. But I think the only area that probably needs a bit of improvement here is the batting. I know
mm,
we got to that point where we had a look at those pitches, and those pitches are not really conducive for high scores. But you know, we spoke about this in the last segment where
mm,
I said to you, I just hope the Proteas go and express themselves in that final game, and that's exactly what they did till about the 14th over when things just started falling apart. I mean that
mm,
partnership from Markram with Markram and de Kock was superb. It was about 125
mm,
that they put on, which was superb after the loss
mm,
of Bavuma quite early on. I think it was the
mm,
second ball. That was an excellent partnership, and you had a feeling that the Proteas were actually going, full gun here for a score of 180, 190, and then to fall, I'd say 25 runs short of that total was a little bit disappointing, you know. And
mm,
I personally thought that the Windies were going to chase this down, but the way the bowlers came back there was really, really admirable. They really put on a
mm,
show there. They really, really put on a show. I mean, the likes of Mulder, uh, Rabada, Shamsi was just awesome. I mean, to me, the player of the series, hands down. I mean, he took wickets and he was so economical, and he just gave this Proteas attack another dimension. And I think he's one of the weapons for the Proteas going forward in future series and into that World Cup. Shamsi is a real, real weapon. So I think they really, really got to take care of him.
mm,
Look, there's a tour of Ireland now, which I
mm.
feel the French players deserve their chances here. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
French players that had much game time in the Windies, the likes of Williams and Keshav. I think it's important for them to get a chance now to shine, and some of those batsmen as well. So
Mm,
this is an opportunity for those French players now to stake a claim in the series against Ireland, and
yeah.
I hope to see a lot of rotation now. Guys like KG
Yeah.
and with no disrespect to Ireland, with no
Mm, mm.
disrespect to Ireland, I feel they do need a break set. They've been bowling
Yeah.
quite a
You
bit
are you yeah,
in the
you
T.
spoke yeah, you were speaking the same thoughts in my mind because if you I was thinking to myself, like, if you're gonna play countries such as Ireland and, for example, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, this is when rotation should be happening, because if you're not going to ever do
Absolutely,
rotation against them, you're never going to do rotation. So I think I
absolutely.
always had this theory in my head: if you're going to play good teams, great teams, then rotation should be minimal. Until, like, I remember in the good old days when South Africa used to be winning, they used to do rotation. Like, especially if they won the series, then they would replace one or two players at most when we were winning one way. But now it's become the opposite now, where we've had to now try and focus on winning, which means that rotation has become minimal. But I think against lower grade teams, rotation happen much more.
I'll tell you what. Like you said, series against the Windies.
Oh, did you hear me?
Yeah, like you mentioning the rotation policy, the Proteas were so desperate to win the series against the Windies that they had to go in with basically a full strength side. So I would say the rotation policy actually, went out of the window in the series. So they had to play their best side. Now that they've got the win under the belt, they've got a starting point. This is the time to test the depth. This is the time to test the depth. I would like to see a guy like Vian Mulder bat at number 6 in this ODI lineup and see what he can offer. I'd like to see that batting lineup being twinkled a bit. Give a guy like Milan and Markram the license up the order. Let's see what they can do. There is talent there. There is talent, but obviously they need an opportunity to show it. So I just hope there's massive rotation in this series, with no disrespect to Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, if you're never going to rotate against Ireland, you're never going to rotate. I mean, this team in fact, I've had this idea in my head, and I know I shouldn't bring this idea in this discussion because there are other teams we could talk about, but I always had this idea that when it comes that we should be having a system, and the ICC should consider this, whereby big teams should invite these small teams, and so that they can then use their backup players to then play for the national side to go against these teams. So at least the small teams might find it disrespectful, but at least they're getting an opportunity to play against the big teams and gain experience. So, and it's not like the backup players are bad. It's just that you also get a chance to rest your main players for the bigger series. So it's something that it should happen.
I'll tell you what. Yeah. Looking at Ireland cricket at the moment,
I don't know if you agree with me though with that idea.
Absolutely. Basically, what you're meaning is essentially like an A side. An A team.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Like an SA A team or an India A team. That's basically a second string lineup, which is made up of damn good players, like you're saying. But obviously don't battle to get into the first team. So that's a wonderful sort of idea, and it also gives these smaller nations more game time, which in turn will improve their skills as well. Because it's pointless Ireland playing one series in a year. That's not really going to happen.
There. Yeah, and they're quite a competitive team,
They've got to go on tours.
Yeah.
They've got to go on tours. Yeah. And to me, Ireland is quite a decent side, especially limited overs. I mean, you really can't take them lightly. I just feel
some good teams. Yeah.
Of course, we know those victories against England, and those were really good victories against England.
And Pakistan and West Indies. The list is And so maybe that's why we're probably That's why I don't think maybe we shouldn't rotate too heavily against them. Now that I mentioned the teams they've beaten, but rotation's got to happen either way. I mean, maybe you could just rotate the bowlers, but maybe not too much of the batsmen. Just the bowlers could be rotated for that series.
I would say the bowlers. I would definitely say the bowlers, because I think those conditions in Ireland are going to suit our bowlers, and I think the timing of the series is not going to suit the team, because they came off quite a challenging T20 series against the Windies. I mean, that was very challenging. Yeah. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
and they got over it. So to have a series like Ireland now, just after that, I think it's just wonderful. And it going to give these Finnish players an opportunity, and hopefully there's a couple more series before the World Cup, because this team needs as much game as possible, to gel as a unit.
Yeah.
And honestly, I do see a bit of unity in this team that I haven't seen in previous series. I feel they are gelling as a unit now, and they seem to be fighting, and they're showing that old South African fight again, which is nice to see. It's very pleasing to see.
Yeah, so, and I guess it helps when you have a captain like Algo, who's kind of like, if you look at his personality, he's always like gritty, he's always like tenacious, and I guess that rubs on the team. So probably bringing back old-fashioned values.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what, Bavuma hasn't done a very bad job as well in the T20 series as well. He juggled bowlers around. He wasn't in the best
Yeah,
of form, let's be honest. I think we
yeah, yeah.
expected more from our captain with a bat, but I think his captaincy has been superb. The way he's juggled those
Yeah,
bowlers
I like
around
him.
and you know,
I like him. He's a cool cat. I mean, I'd rather have him still in the team, even if people may find it a bit of a transformation thing, but I'd rather have him there. I mean, he's good. And yeah,
no, I
let's just give
mean,
him,
guess what?
let's give him, yeah, pardon?
Look, look, Bavuma is there on merit. I mean,
Yeah.
his
Hmm.
captaincy experience is, speaks volumes, especially with the Lions. So, I mean, if you
Oh,
look at
okay.
him on the field, he thrives on captaincy. He's a born leader. I mean, he loves captaincy, just like how Faf enjoyed captaincy. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's the right call. I think it's the right call from CSA to obviously give him that sort of time as skipper. So, yeah,
Yeah.
well deserved. So
Yeah, I always thought he was going to be Test captain, then ODI captain. But anyway, that's history now. I mean, it is what it is,
no,
and yeah,
I think Elgar suits that Test captaincy role because, as you
yeah, I
say, he's a bit of
guess.
a and that's the
Yeah,
sort of player, that's the sort of captain you need in a Test lineup. And I like to see
yeah.
this. I mean, why should you have the same captain for ODIs and Tests? I mean, why can't you rotate it?
Unless the
I
captain is like super talented like Kohli, then yeah, then you could have a captain for like all formats. But we don't have
I
that
guess so.
luxury. So
But
I guess two captains is best for now.
if I look at England and
Hmm.
I look at the England
Oh yeah,
setup
yeah. They got two captains also. Yeah, those two got two
where
captains.
they've
Yeah.
got Root and then Morgan. And
True.
Morgan,
Yeah, yeah,
being an Irishman, I mean, he played for Ireland as well. But
yeah.
the way Owen Morgan has actually revolutionized English cricket, especially white ball cricket, it's
I know it's
amazing.
crazy, and you've cleverly got into the next segment here. England against Pakistan. Man, what a thrashing! I never expected this. I thought Pakistan were gonna be much more competitive than Sri Lanka, but it turned out to be another funeral, judging by this match. 9 wicket win, but the Saqib
Yeah,
Mahmood,
man. Look, it's
very
been a
good,
great week.
very good bowler.
Absolutely, absolutely, and this is the depth of English cricket. I mean, the depth of English cricket at the moment that we witnessing. It's scary. I mean, if you
Mm,
could get these newcomers coming in, and especially Saqib. I mean, he played a few
mm,
ODIs, but I was so impressed with the way he swung the ball.
mm.
I didn't watch a lot of the game, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw a lot of damage in that first 6 overs, and I think that just pegged Pakistan completely.
One way,
And the
yeah.
wicket of Baba Azam, wow, that was something else. I mean, he's got that weakness outside off stump, and I think that ball that was bowled to him was superb. And
Mm.
Pakistan never recovered from there. I mean, really, really disappointing display from them, being skittled out for 142. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
poor display
Yeah,
from
it's
them.
sad, man. Yeah, man. I
I
never
guess I guess
expected
this
this.
is the irony of Pakistan cricket, and we've seen it for years. You never know which Pakistan team is going to pitch up,
Mm, mm.
but
Yes, but
they're
if I
still a
go by
dangerous lineup.
history, yeah, if I go by history after performance like this, we should expect a fight back from Pakistan. I don't think they'll play as
We
pathetically,
should expect a fight back. But I'm just looking at the
but then you
situation
never
now at
know.
Lords. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that second game is a bit of a drain delay there. So I just hope we get some play
Oh,
because it is going to be a good game.
yes, and let's go down to the final segment. It's Australia against the West Indies. A bit of a surprise result after West Indies made 140 plus, and then West Indies won it. I didn't actually watch a lot of it. I was trying to watch some of it on the YouTube. I think I'll watch it on catch up after our chat, but I think it's a very good win for West Indies. I never expected it, but then I've noticed that West Indies seem to play well against Australia. I think there's some ego between those two sides, or maybe teams just like to play well against Australia. It's something there.
Well, there's always an incentive player to play well against Australia. I mean, let's face it.
Mm.
But this game, I mean, I didn't watch the Windies innings because it was quite early this morning, but I did catch a bit of the Australian innings. And I mean, wow, what what an incredible collapse that was from the Aussies. I mean, I mean, if you watch this innings, this is probably one of the greatest collapses in T20s. I mean, the Aussies were literally cruising in this game. At 9.4 overs, they already had 100 on the board and they were 4 down, which is okay in a T20 game. But then they lost the last 6 wickets for 27 runs in the space of 6 overs, which was an incredible turnaround in this game. And the guy that impressed so well in the SA series, Obert McCoy, and he was a star. He was a star. And
Yeah.
I think in a way, I don't know, it's a bit of a cockiness about them, they were playing too many shots. I mean, if I look at that inning, there were so many sixes being hit, but there wasn't enough rotation of strike. And a score of 146, I think 9 times out of 10, you'll back yourself to chase it down. And
yeah, sort of common sense batting is required in that kind of chase. You don't need to.
And I think Justin Langer as coach, I mean, he should be livid with this. He would have been livid with this display. And I think any coach, I think if you and me were the coach of the Aussie team, we would be livid, and there'll be a lot of harsh words after this game. And a team of Australia's caliber, I was very, very surprised in the way that they capitulated against. I want to say this, relatively inexperienced bowlers, Sid. I mean, these guys have played like 2-3. I mean, I think McCoy has probably played his 6th T20, but the other guys, I mean, Walsh Jr. and Fabian Allen, I mean, they're all relatively inexperienced at this level.
Yeah.
They capitulated against relatively inexperienced bowlers, which was actually shocking to see. I mean, I was lucky enough to see that Australian collapse, and I was stunned. I was stunned. I think any spectator watching that was stunned. But I mean, it's a fabulous result for the Windies. I mean, they were really, really, they really fell hard down after that Proteas series. And I did tell you prior to that I backed them to win this T20 series against Aussies, because I just feel Australia, especially in T20s, they don't seem to play their best side at times.
That is true. The main plays aren't there, I think, because of injuries or bubble-related issues. So that was probably going to happen. But still, what 40 plus? But still, they should have chased it down.
Of course,
it's kind of like a common sense batting. You just got to apply some common sense to that chase. You don't have to complicate it.
Well, I guess what Australia lacked there was an anchor. They didn't have an anchor. They had too many guys that came in and just blasted. And that's not the way to win a cricket match. And the 6 hitting was a lot. There were a lot of 6s, 8 being hit, but there wasn't a lot of 1s or 2s taken. There wasn't rotation of strike. That was really, really poor to see. And those are the basics of the game. And I guess if a team like Australia can't do the basics of the game, that is something really, really, damning in the way forward. And I mean, getting back to what you said, I mean, let's not take anything away from the way Australia bowled in this game. I mean, Hazelwood, 4 overs, 3 for 12. That was freakish. I mean, that was superb bowling. And to be honest with you, I think if he didn't get it for 6 of the last ball, he would have probably had the most economic overs in the history of T20s, because I think it was 3.5 over 6. Yeah, I mean, he took 3 for 6. I mean, this was like, honestly, some of this bowling, this was like McGrath all over again. I mean, the line and length was just superb. I mean, this was literally watching McGrath bowl. And I mean, he got hit for 6 of the last ball, which obviously messed his figures up. But he still, I mean, those figures were crazy. I mean, 3 for 12 in 4 overs. But I think the bowler that really got punished was Stark. I mean, he went for 40 in 4.
Stark's been pretty expensive nowadays, hasn't he?
Absolutely, in Test matches as well. I know India took liking to him in the Test matches as well. So I just feel Australia. I mean, I said to you this prior to that. I mean, they just don't play their best side in T20s. There's a lot of experimenting. It seems like they don't value T20 that much, as opposed to other teams. I mean, other teams value T20 much more. I mean, look at the Windies. The Windies always pick their best players because they value the format. It's no shame in saying that they feel it's a format that they can be successful in, and I don't really have a problem with that. I don't really have a problem with that, because you've got T20 specialists. I mean, literally, they play this game for a living. This is their bread and butter.
Yeah, that is true. Oh yeah, I think the next match is tomorrow. So you're expecting another win for West Indies, or you expecting Australia to bounce back?
I'll tell you what. Dare I say this? I'm expecting an Australian fight back here.
Yeah.
I just feel like being the coach that he is, he's
Mm.
probably torn into these players and told them to probably go back to the basics. And I think if Australia do the basics right, I think they got an attack
Mm.
good enough to restrict this Windies lineup. So I think
Mm.
they know where they went wrong. Uh,
Mm.
to be honest with you, I think they lost this game for 70% of it, and they lost this game
Yeah.
in the last 5 overs. So they were the dominant side for 70% of the game, and yeah, it's just a few areas that they need to improve on, but they have the consistency. I just feel they don't have the consistency in this format. Whereas they take ODI cricket and Test cricket very seriously. So I just feel they should pick their best side. I know there's a bit of experimenting here because there's a few players that didn't really travel. But when I look at this Aussie lineup, I think a guy like Maxwell is missing here because he would have been the perfect foil to close this game out
Mm.
yesterday. Big hits. So yeah,
Mm.
I'm expecting Aussies to bounce back here. Hey,
Yeah, man.
what about you?
Yeah, in a nutshell, yeah, I think, yeah, I expect the same. I don't think Australia. I think maybe they were watching, maybe they were watching the '99 World Cup semi-final on How to Choke. Shame I shouldn't say that or so loud. God, that's so embarrassing, man.
But
Australia,
I
national.
think it was more of a Rocky Horror Show last night. I think it was a horror show from
Yeah,
Australia. I mean,
yeah,
to
yeah.
get bowled out in 20 overs, to get bowled out inside 20 overs, I think it's actually criminal
Mm,
in T20 cricket. There shouldn't be a
mm.
side that should be get bowled out in 20 overs. I
Yeah,
think
but I guess the
at
pitches
premium,
there in West, yeah, but I think the pitches in the West Indies are not the best for batting. But I think what I've learned in those pitches, you just got to play street smart, play like New Zealand, because New Zealand would have definitely chased down that score. They would have applied common sense. They would have probably won that match, even in
absolutely,
18 overs.
absolutely. Some
Yeah,
common
I
sense.
mean,
That is all. That is all it takes. That is all it takes. Just common sense
I
batting.
guess, yeah. So, like, I know, like, if we go back to the original, like, if we go back to when we played West Indies, I mean, what we should have done is that for the first maybe 14, 16 overs, we can bat aggressively. And because we know we're going to collapse somewhere, we just play some common sense cricket, maybe go 7 runs and over. Let's just get to 170 or something. Because we'll probably have to do that in the UAE anyway.
Look, I think the only thing that the Proteas didn't do well in that series was their batting in the last 5 overs. I think
Yeah,
they
so
were
I'm
pretty
thinking,
ordinary that in
yeah,
that
even if we hit
department.
like one boundary per over and we get around even 7 runs per over for the last 5 overs, this will get to 170 or 180. If the pitches in the UAE are like the West Indies, then we'll have to probably play like that.
Look, 170, 180 in a World Cup is a good score. Dare I
Hmm.
say this because there's a lot of pressure on that batting
Hmm.
lineup to chase the score down.
Hmm.
So I think with bowlers with like Shamsi and Linda, you can apply the brakes, but it's up to the batsmen to
Hmm.
do their jobs. Eh? I mean, they can put a
Hmm.
score of 180, 190. I think that gives the bowlers some breathing space, you know,
Yeah.
because that's like 9.5 and over, 9.6 and over for the batting
Hmm.
side to go
Hmm.
and chase, which I
Yeah.
think in T20 game,
Yeah. I guess we're just gonna have to.
unless the
Yeah.
pitch is an absolute belter, which I don't think you're going to get in the UAE. You're going to get challenging pitches, definitely.
Hmm.
So yeah, 180, 190 is a score, and that is why I actually want to see Faf in this lineup. I actually want to see
Hmm.
Faf make a return to this lineup because I think he adds that balance to the side that's lacking at the moment in
Hmm.
this batting lineup. And I just
Hmm.
hope Muller gets back into some form because he was really disappointing in this series. I felt he didn't take his chances.
Yeah. But I guess if he does play against Ireland, I'm sure he'll make up for lost time.
I guess no disrespect to Ireland, but you really
Yeah.
can't underestimate any opponents, especially today. But I think the one
Hmm.
player that's definitely going to the World Cup, in my mind, is Makram. I think he's been
Yeah.
superb.
Yeah.
I think he's been the superb foil at number three.
Hmm.
Look, Rassi is a wonderful player as well, and I think we spoke about how how he can adapt his game. But what Markram offers is good old fashioned ball striking, and he hits the ball so hard. And when he hits the ball, it stays hit, and he hits a lot of boundaries, which is what we need in the World Cup. So, boy, Markram is a very exciting player at the moment for us in T20s.
Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up, and we shall keep in touch.
All right, take care, Sid, and enjoy the cricket.
Oh, hello?
Yeah, take care, enjoy the cricket.
Thanks, Sid. You too, man.